All right, John Anthony, what do you got for me, my man?
What if no tax on tips is actually a bad idea?
Then the House GOP should stop bragging about it. I know that it's cool during the campaign to talk about, but even when it came up during the campaign with Trump, I was kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure about this one. I mean, why should somebody who makes $50,000 a year in a tip industry not pay taxes on the bulk of their income, while someone who's just a regular W-2 employee at a corporation or as a manufacturer pay their taxes, their income taxes on their salary? Like, why should we be in the business of bragging about the government picking winners and losers? Why should we be basically appealing to a specific industry when it comes to who we tax and who we don't? I know it sounds good, but to me, it's still largely political posturing. It's not me being a tax guy. I mean, I put this up on social media. It's like, righto! Neocon! It's like, what are you talking about? I can't stand taxes, but that's why we should just have a flat tax where everybody pays the same percentage of income tax. No ifs, ands, or buts. You know, and I know that people who are accountants aren't going to like this because it would be a major simplification of the tax code, which would put accountants out of business. And I've got good friends who are accountants, so I don't want that. But think about how much simpler you could make the tax code if everyone just paid 10, 12, 15% of their taxes to the government, whatever the number is that makes sense. And then you just, there's no write-offs, there's no nothing. Everyone just pays their 10, 15%, and we move on with our day. Wouldn't be good for the accounting industry, but I think it'd be a lot better for most people, John.
What if the media's alleged DOGE targets, in other words, we're going to take money from SNAP and Medicare and gut them. What if the media's alleged DOGE targets are not actual specified DOGE targets?
Well, that would mean the media is, dare I say, lying to us?
Talk about a bombshell.
Oh, my goodness gracious, a dishonest media.
How dare you?
Oh, gosh. Cry me a river. Yeah, I mean, this is always how it goes. And I think most people are seeing through the charade. But it's like this House GOP budget that passes yesterday, they're cutting $2 trillion over 10 years. That's actually not that much. It's $200 billion a year. We're running $2 trillion annual deficits. That's chump change. But of course, the minute you bring up the idea of cuts to anything, it's like, oh, poor people are going hungry. Oh, boy, not going to have their food stamp. No, Department of Agriculture has to make cuts. SNAP benefits, i.e. food stamps, are under that umbrella. It doesn't necessarily have to come from food stamps. Although, of course, we should make sure we're rooting out the fraud and abuse of food stamps. I know a couple of people in particular, and it wasn't their fault. They were on food stamps for a bit. They got off of them, and they tried to get off of them. They couldn't get off of them. They were calling up being like, I got a job. Leave me off of this stuff. And the government couldn't figure out how to get them off food stamps. What's next?
What if anyone other than Frank White were in the lead in these stadium deals?
You know, honestly, we just talked about this with Tui. I'm not convinced much would be different right now. I'm not. We might be closer to another vote, but I'm not convinced the vote would go all that differently. As Patrick and I talked about, I mean, the vote went down last year in Jackson County by 16 points. It wasn't close. It wasn't because of one person or one thing. Frank White can act like he helped get the vote knocked down. That's not true. A lot of reasons it didn't work out. But I don't think we'd be in a much different place without Frank. Maybe a little bit further down the road, but not a lot different. There's your What If Wednesday.